I never really at any point was like, I want to be a professional footballer. That's what I want to do. Basically, I would train every session full time with the football club and then get back to school in the afternoon and the evening and like do extra classes, have my tutor just to try and get my A levels. It was almost like being in a full-time professional club whilst also studying for a degree. So that's something I realized, but I probably, if I'd have realized it a bit sooner, I might have been even better. When I first went to Spain, I didn't speak a word of Spanish. I didn't know anybody there. I didn't have a club. I didn't have an agent.
What's up people, and welcome back to another Monday motivation video. For this week, I've got the first part of a Tiki-Taka episode that I did with Conor O'Keefe. Yes, that guy. Now Conor is a professional footballer from England, but is also a very successful YouTuber and happens to be the guy that inspired me to start this YouTube channel. Now the reason that I've got Conor on this show, other than the fact that he is an inspiration to me, is because he has a very unique story as compared to all other professional footballers. Conor became a professional footballer even after completing his university. So make sure you watch until the end of this video to know about his unique journey and to know why he is an inspiration to me and many others like me. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You'd be an absolute legend because I'm trying to reach the 200 mark as soon as possible. Don't forget to turn on the notifications so that you get an update when I post the second part of this episode. If you like what you see, then be sure to hit the like button. It would really help me in the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to get involved, then make sure you're using the comment section to let me know of your suggestions or any questions you have for professionals like these. Now, as mentioned before, Conor also has a YouTube channel and posts some really great content. And if you want to check that out, then stick until the end of this video because I will link his channel on the end screen of this video so you can check it out without having to skip this video.
Welcome to Tiki-Taka, the series where you tell the world your story. And in this series, we have different sections, and each section is titled something football related. The first section is called BACKPASS, and in this section, we take it back to the past to how it all started for you. How did football start for you, and how did you get into the Macclesfield Academy?
I was lucky that I was born into a very football crazy family. So my dad loves football, my granddad loves football. They were both big Man United fans. And so kind of everyone in my family were big Man United fans. And I'm kind of the oldest of three siblings. My brother is only probably about a year and a half younger than me. So my kind of earliest memories of football are playing with him anywhere and everywhere. So we would play in the house, but then we'd get told off by mum. So then we'd have to play outside in the garden and we'd play in the park. And I just remember we'd play for hours outside, and he was a striker, so he loved scoring goals and I loved diving around in the mud and making saves. So it worked quite well. It was just, we just played football all the time, and that's kind of my first memories of playing football. In terms of Macclesfield, Macclesfield is the town where I live, and it's the town where I grew up. It's a town probably most well known because it rains all the time, probably rains 200 days of a year. So for that reason, I kind of, like I said, always enjoyed diving in the mud, and I got very used to just playing football in the rain. But yeah, I think the Macclesfield Academy, the reason I got into there was they used to hold quite a few events for kids just in the local area. So me and my brother used to go to those every kind of Easter holiday, summer holiday. As I got to about probably 12 years old, I'd already been at an academy called Crewe, which was quite a well-known academy. And then when I was 12, I went to, it was almost like a trial day for the Macclesfield under 12s. I was kind of successful in that trial day and got into the academy at 12, and that was really where it all started.
Nice, that's really amazing. And can you give us a little bit of an insight into your journey from Macclesfield to now? Because I know that you have not followed the typical path. So can you give us a little insight into how it didn't transition into playing for the senior team? And
yeah, so I think when I joined Macclesfield, probably about age 12, I never really at any point was like, I want to be a professional footballer. That's what I want to do. I kind of just always enjoyed playing football. I never really knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. But each level of the academy, you kind of get to under 14s, under 16s, and at each of these stages they let players go and they keep players on, and at each kind of level I was kept on and kept on and kept on. It got to under 16s where they decide whether they want to offer you what they call a youth team scholarship, which is where you're supposed to basically leave school and join the football club full time as an apprentice. So But I always really enjoyed school. I always loved school. I was good at school, and I kind of knew the importance of kind of my education. And the BTEC that was on offer at the club was a good qualification, but I was never that interested in studying sports science. I was kind of more into things like maths and business. And so I was quite lucky. I asked the club if I would be able to combine the youth team scholarship, but continue to go to school to do my A-levels. I was fortunate that the club and the school supported me and let me do it. And so basically I would train every session full time with the football club, and then get back to school in the afternoon and the evening and like do extra classes, have my tutor just to try and get my A-levels. And a lot of people said, oh, you won't be able to balance the two, it'll be too difficult. I was very kind of fortunate that with the support of my family and the school and the football club, I managed to get my 3 A-levels and also get offered a professional contract by Macclesfield. At that point, I was kind of like, right, I want to be a footballer now. I've done lots of hard work at school. I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to play football. And so I spent a year as a third choice professional. So I was the youngest goalkeeper, really. I would train every day with the first team. It was great. We had a good team. We were playing in the conference, which was the 5th tier of English football at the time. But I didn't get any games. I had a few loan moves. I played for a few local teams with loan moves, but I was on the bench a few times, but I didn't really play. And because I'd done the process of my A-levels, I had an offer from a university called Loughborough University in England, which is kind of well known as the most elite sporting university in the UK. And I never wanted to go because, as I said, I wanted to be a footballer. I didn't want to study anymore. But my mum and dad kind of encouraged me to go and have a look at the programme. And once I went and visited it, I was kind of blown away because it was almost like being in a full-time professional club whilst also studying for a degree. So we had sports psychologists, nutritionists, strength and conditioning coaches. We would train in the gym, we train on the pitch, we train every day. And I thought it was a great opportunity for me to go and improve as a footballer, first and foremost, because of the programme, but also get a degree at the same time. I had an offer for an international business course, and I knew that if I completed that, I would come out at 23 and I would still be younger than kind of the first choice goalkeeper was at the time at Macclesfield. So I thought, why don't I go to Loughborough and improve as a footballer and a person? So that was a 4-year course. 3 of the years I spent in Loughborough and 1 I spent in Spain doing an Erasmus year. And I managed to kind of play out in Spain at the same time whilst I did that too. So that was my first taste of playing abroad. And then I left Loughborough with my degree last summer. And this season just gone, I was playing in the Gibraltar National League, Europa Point FC and FC Bruno's Magpies. So that was kind of my first contract back in full-time football after university, really.
Yeah, that's quite an amazing story, because in all your intros, you used to say, this is my journey to become a professional footballer, and then you finally achieved it. And to have the documentation of all of that is brilliant. All right, what led you to the decision to play abroad? Was it just the natural progression, or is it because of the competition in England?
A bit of both. I mean, one of the reasons is the shirt that's behind you. I was a big Iker Casillas fan. I used to love watching Spanish football when I was a kid. It was really interesting for me to watch Spanish football and see how different it was to British football, which I'd experienced. Another reason was I'm not the tallest goalkeeper. I'm only about 6 foot tall. So as I was growing up, I had a lot of people were saying, you're not going to be tall enough to be a professional. You're not big enough. And I spent a lot of time when I was younger getting anxious about that and getting stressed out. And then I'd turn on Sky and I'd see Iker Casillas at 5'11", having unbelievable games and being named best goalkeeper in the world and winning World Cups and Champions Leagues. And I thought, well, if he can do it, why can't I do it? And so when I was at Loughborough, the part of my course, I had to either study abroad for a year or work full-time in industry for a year. And I wanted to keep playing my football. And when I realised that Loughborough had a link with a university in Madrid, that was kind of a bit of a sign for me. And it was like, well, why don't I go to Madrid, where Casillas is from, and why don't I try and play abroad and see what it's like to play in Spain and learn a different style of goalkeeping. So those were the kind of main reasons why I decided to try it. I love Spanish football. I wanted to prove myself that I was a good enough goalkeeper to be a professional, even though I wasn't 6'4".
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Conor, if you could go back in time and tell the younger Conor something that you have now learned about football, what would it be and why?
Well, I think one thing that I would say is something that I touched on. I'd say, don't worry about your height. There's nothing you can do about it. I get so many keepers send me messages saying, oh, I'm not tall enough. I'm not tall enough. I've been told I'm not tall enough. It's one thing that you can't control. As long as you eat well and you sleep well, there's not really much you can do about it. It's mainly genetic. So in terms of that, I'd say, listen, instead of spending time worrying and stressing about that, put all that energy into becoming a better goalkeeper, into working on your handling, working on your footwork, working on your distribution, your time and your takeoff. And I mean, that's something I realised, but I probably, if I'd have realised it a bit sooner, I might have been even better. So that's kind of one thing that I'd tell myself.
All right. Okay, so with that good advice, we end the first section of BACKPASS and we move into the second section that I call Remontada. It's called Remontada because it's all about comeback stories and mental health. So I know that you are a firm believer in the importance of mental health in football specifically. So I want to ask you, practically, can you tell us why it is important and what effect it has on our performance?
Well, I think especially as a goalkeeper, the mental side of the game is something that is hugely important and something which I believe not enough people concentrate on or work on. So if you think of all levels of goalkeeping, a lot of your training, you'll focus on the technical ability, improving your technique, on your physical ability, improving your fitness and your speed and your power. But very little of your training is on mental training and developing your brain. But if you analyze the goalkeeping position, we're actually involved in the game for 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes of the 90 minutes. The rest of the time, it's you alone with your thoughts, concentrating and being ready. Now, if you spend those 87 minutes terrified and anxious and nervous, then the 3 minutes that you have to perform, you're not going to perform very well. But if you can spend those 87 minutes concentrating, positive, ready, then those 3 minutes of action, you can make the difference for your team. If you look at off the pitch, you get a lot of criticism if you make mistakes. If things go right, there's very little said, but if things go wrong, it's made known to you. So dealing with that criticism. So the mental side of things is something which I really didn't focus on or work on hard enough probably until about 2-3 years ago, where I kind of found a mental coach who I worked with on a weekly basis ever since. And working with him has kind of helped me to build tools that I can use. Tools like meditation, tools like kind of visualization before a game, tools like positive self-talk whilst I'm playing a game. So some phrases that I can use in order to make sure that I'm feeling positive rather than nervous, or if things go wrong, to bring myself back to that positive mindset.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting because even if the ability is there, if you're not fully mentally there, then there's no point in all those grueling hours.
I think it's interesting because, like you say, if you compare a goalkeeper who's technically very, very good, but mentally he struggles, with a goalkeeper who technically isn't as good, but mentally is very, very strong and believes in himself, I think most people would probably pick the one that isn't as technically good, because you are able to rely on him. He's going to give you confidence. He's going to be consistent with his performance, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so according to you, what was the biggest challenge you faced in your career so far?
I think my career as a whole has been a bit of a challenge because, like you said, it's been quite unusual. I've not gone down the traditional route, but in terms of my career path, I've made choices which have taken me in unusual directions, from doing my A-levels and things like that, to going to university, to playing abroad. And each step you could see as a challenge because it has taken me out of my comfort zone, and it's been things that I've had experience or kind of guidance on, because not many people have done it that way. But at the same time, challenges are what help you to grow as an individual, not just as a goalkeeper. So I've always found the moments where I've been so far out my comfort zone, I've actually managed to perform well, deal with it, and it's expanded what I consider my comfort zone. So if you take going to Spain, for example, when I first went to Spain, I didn't speak a word of Spanish. I didn't know anybody there. I didn't have a club. I didn't have an agent. And me and my girlfriend just went to try and help me find a club. And we managed to do that. We managed to find a club to train with in pre-season, and we did really well. But then my girlfriend flew home and I didn't see anybody. I couldn't speak Spanish. I would literally go to training, not be able to talk to anyone, kind of try and learn, try and do as well as I could, and then go back to my Airbnb, sit there, kind of eat a bit of food, maybe go look around. But I didn't know anybody. I was on my own. I couldn't speak the language. I was kind of very, very far out of my comfort zone, but I really enjoyed it. I was in this new place. I could experience and see these new things, learn this new type of football. And I started to grow as a footballer and as an individual, and it expanded my comfort zone. And I think that would be what you would class as the most difficult point. But I think my whole career has provided challenges, but overcoming those challenges have been the motivation for me to keep progressing.
Okay. And with that, you answered my next question, which was, what is the biggest challenge of playing abroad and leaving your home?
Yeah, I think playing abroad is difficult, leaving your home and leaving your family and leaving your friends. And And being on your own, things like FaceTime, you can call people, you can speak to people, you have the internet, it's quite easy to stay in touch. But there will always be moments where you feel quite lonely. But at the same time, you just have to have the positive mindset towards it and see it as a growth opportunity.
All right. Okay. With that, we move into the next section that I call halftime tactics. And in this section, we talk about the other side of football. So the first question is, can you tell us the importance of building an online presence for footballers? Is it necessary and why?
I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's something that you have to do. I think football's unusual because there's a lot of, especially at a high level, there's a lot of protection around footballers because quite rightly, I think you've probably seen in the press that it's very easy for footballers to get built up in the media and then pulled down very quickly. And I think football clubs try and protect their players from that by keeping it very kind of radio silent, apart from the official interviews they do. And I think I don't think I would have been able to do what I've done with social media and building a YouTube channel if I'd been in that environment. I don't think I would have been allowed to do it. So I think that's probably one benefit of the fact that I've done things a different way, that I've been able to do it kind of by myself. But I've always wanted to be able to share what it's really like to try and build a career in football. And I'm not at the top level, but I want to show them when it's difficult and when it's great and show what it really is like. Because I think there's a perspective of footballers that everything's easy and everything's taken care of and they get paid all this amount of money and it's the perfect life and they don't have to worry about anything. But at my level, that's not the case. And I'm sure at the top level, it's not the case. And I feel building an online presence can help to show people what is happening in your life and show people and bring them value if they're trying to do something similar. But it's also helped me because it's built a profile. Now, if I put up a video of me playing in goal, a lot of people will see it. And so for a part of my career, like now, for example, where I'm looking for a new team, it's a great tool because a lot of people know me and they see what I can do playing in goal and it might create opportunities. So you have to be careful with it. You have to make sure that you do it the right way. But I think if you do it well, it's a good tool to have.
It's very interesting that you say that because it leads me on well to my next question. When you were talking about social media not showing the reality, how do you suggest younger players should filter out what they see online?
I think it's important that you try and consume content that is honest and that is real because you are formed by the things that you consume on a daily basis. And it's very difficult when you're younger to kind of have that wisdom of what to consume. But as you get older, I think it's important to really scrutinize what you're watching and what you're spending your time consuming. And if it's bringing you value, if it's not bringing you value, if it's making you feel crap, if it's making you feel like you're not good enough, then there's no point watching it or listening to it because it's not going to help you. Because if you think how much time we spend on our phones or on the internet, like you want to make sure that that's positive time, not negative time.
Yeah. No, the reason I asked that particular question was because of the recent debate on modern goalkeeping, whether it was good, whether it was bad. All right. So when it comes to YouTube and your YouTube channel, how important is it not to be blinded by the stats and so obsessed with the analytics? And how did you manage to not do that?
Yeah, I think it's massively important because, again, if you just see your success in views and subscribers, then your content will change because you will just make content which will try and get views and subscribers. So you'll make clickbait content, you'll make content which puts other people down or content which tries to make you look better than you are. And there are a lot of people who do that and they're very successful at that, but you won't create the type of content you really want to create. And I think it's very difficult. And I think it's changing because things like Instagram talking about taking away like number of likes and things like that is moving in this direction. But the way I kind of did it was YouTube and social media was secondary. So football is my main thing and football is what I want to succeed at. So even if I didn't really get many views or subscribers, I wasn't doing it for that. I was kind of just doing it to show what I was doing and showcase my story and document my own journey. I spent a year making videos and I had 400 subscribers or something. I was making videos on my phone, like we were editing it, not very consistent, but the story was great. It was when I was in Spain and all these amazing things were happening. But the numbers will come if you continue to put out really good quality content consistently, which bring value to people. It'd be very easy for me to be like, okay, I've got 28,000 subscribers or something. And I see other people who I feel don't make the type of content that I do or the value of content that I do. And they've got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and it'd be very easy for me to go like, well, I want that much, I'll start making the type of content they want. But it would massively take away from kind of the story of keeping goals and what it is. So
Yeah, and I was also experiencing something very similar to what you said, because when I started off my channel, it was just about posting videos that I liked. But then with this lockdown, I started getting features of famous people, and then the videos are not blowing up. So I was constantly checking my phone. One thing that I did that worked was uninstall the YouTube Studio app from my phone. So I only check
nice.
it. So I only check it when I'm on the computer, and I'm not on the computer that
Yeah.
much. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea, because I do check it a lot too. I mean, I'm not perfect with it. When I upload a video, I'll be like, oh, how well is it doing? Like, is it? And even if it's not doing as well as I thought it would do, I get a little bit angry or a little bit frustrated. So all of us feel that way. But I think those kind of tactics are good to make sure that you don't over obsess on it.
Yeah. All right. With that, we end the halftime tactics section, and we move on to the next section that I call recovering possession.
That's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, then make sure you hit that like button and share it to anyone else who you think would benefit from watching it. Don't forget to check out Conor's channel by tapping on the screen now. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that you get an update when I post the second part of this episode. In the meantime, check out the previous episodes that I did with other professionals.